I'm going to name a team, and you tell me if they're legit or they're frauds. Legit means they can make a finals run. Not necessarily win the title, but they can make a finals run like the Mavs did or that Heat team did a couple years ago. So frauds are they have no chance of making a finals run. Let's go through. We'll go quickly through some of these. Thunder, obviously legit, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Easy.
Grizzlies.
Frauds.
I'm going to say fraud. I'm out on the Grizzlies, and they've been great during the regular season. Ja Morant doesn't play enough, period. Ja Morant doesn't play enough. You can't go to the playoffs as good as Jaren Jackson's been, and that's your best player. Desmond Bane's your best player. You're not making the finals with that. I'm sorry. It's been a great story. They bust their ass. They go 10-11 deep. They're not making the finals.
I'm going frauds too. I 100% agree. Nuggets.
They're legit. I mean, that's an easy one. Whenever you have Jokic, I think you have a chance to do something special. I was going to point to last year, the way that series went. Is it crazy to say I think the Nuggets are better? And I think the real big part of it is Russell Westbrook. Is that crazy? It's true. They're playing a lot better with him.
If you would have told me that 6 months ago, I'd have been like, you're smoking something.
3 months ago, Connor, we talked about that. We did an NBA pod back in like December, November. We're like, yikes, man, this Nuggets team, like maybe it is Jover. I don't know. But apparently they're legit. I would put them in the Thunder at the top of this conference right now.
Unironically, Jokic, like helping Westbrook become this serviceable and this level of player at this late in his career is one of his greatest accomplishments. I'm not even being funny. Like,
Give him the MVP,
turning
then.
Westbrook into this is insane. What?
Give him the MVP.
If that's one of the main arguments, I'll concede. Go ahead. I'll let it happen. But you're right.
I think that's a fair argument. Anyhow,
they're legit. Any team with Jokic, never count them out. It's too bad that they were too bad they were banned from making any kind of trade deadline move. I guess they were just like blacklisted. They couldn't do that.
Just lock the GM in a dark room for the day.
Yeah, screw it. Take the day off. Let's go golf.
Yeah, just take Miles Bridges. We don't care. Anyhow, the Rockets.
No. Fraud. I would be shocked if they made if the criteria is can they make the finals, I would be shocked if the Rockets make the finals. The West is
frauds too.
This one's tough for me because not every, but it seems for the past 6-7 years, there's been a pretty unexpected team making the finals. I mean, you can look at the Heat when they did it a couple times, right? In the past 5 years, you can look at Dallas. One of these teams is going to be that team. I don't know if they're going to do it, but I think they have the potential. Is it the Rockets or is it someone else on the list? I'm looking at the list. I don't hate the Rockets as a potential sneaky, go on an amazing run this season. They have a bunch of momentum. They have a good coach in Ime Udoka. He's keeping his hands to himself down there in Houston.
Yep.
And I think there might be a shot. So I'm going to go, it's hard to say legit about the Houston Rockets, but I'm going to say potentially legit.
Okay, I'm going to push back and say that you're right about the unexpected teams making the finals.
What about
the commonality between those teams?
What about the hands to himself?
I will refrain from any comments on that.
Yeah.
Don't aggregate that. I don't have sources.
Yeah, I know nothing. The commonality between those teams, like the 2020 Heat or the Mavs with Luka that year making the finals, is they had superstar. They had a superstar to lead them. Whereas Jimmy Butler, it's Luka Doncic. That's the guy you turn to when you need a late game bucket. My problem with Houston all year, up until even now, is in a series, you're in game 6. You've played the same team for the last week and a half. Where do you turn to with 30 seconds left? Is it Jalen Green, who scores 25, 28 one night and then 6 the next night? Is it Şengün? Is it Fred VanVleet? It's not Amin Thompson yet. That's my problem with this team is they don't have a true number one that you can go to in crunch time. They have a bunch of like guys that I like, but as 2 or 3 options on a good team, not as a number one. That would be my argument.
That's fair. I think, there either could be like that 23 Heat team where it's like a bunch of scrappy dudes doing crazy stuff with Jimmy Butler at the head. But you're right, they don't have that kind of guy. Or it could kind of be like the 21 Grizzlies where you're like, 2C, these guys are awesome. They get bounced first, second round because they just don't have the experience. So that's why I was like, I'm really teetering on the edge. But yeah.
For Houston to make that run, Jalen Green would have to take the biggest leap in the next 2 months we've ever seen.
Yes.
And it's not impossible, but I would be shocked.
Lakers.
I have to say, I'll go first. I'd say legit. If you have LeBron and Luka on the court, there's always potential. I know we just spent like 20 minutes.
I don't think you believe that.
He's covering his bases right now. He's covering his bases.
No. I actually, it's LeBron James and Luka Doncic. Luka just did it by himself, right? Now with potentially the greatest player of all time on his side, even though he is super old at this point. I think there's always a shot for those cats. They could catch, Denver on a off week. Not likely.
Can they?
I don't know. I just if it came down to it, right, and if LA got to miss Denver heading into the Western Conference Finals and got to play OKC, does all that experience and all that savviness from the Lakers do something against the inexperience of OKC, and they get a chance to take them in 7? I think there's a shot. I wouldn't go against it. I wouldn't say it's crazy.
My issue is when it's on the court, it's going to be Reeves, LeBron, Luka, Rui, Jackson Hayes.
Or Vanderbilt.
Maybe yeah. That's 130 points a game for a team playing against them?
No, 100%. It's hard to bet against LeBron.
I'll go frauds.
I'm going to say legit for all the reasons Chase said, and there's a few matchups in the West. If you just look at the standings, I mentioned it, Houston, Memphis, I'm probably taking the Lakers. If it somehow turns out to be Lakers-Clippers, I'm taking the Lakers in that series. Like, there's 100%. A lot of jostling around that could happen in these Western Conference standings where probably half the teams that make the playoffs, like I feel like the Lakers might be a top 4 team I trust in the Western Conference if they make the playoffs, right?
Okay, I'll ask you this then. Let's say it's the Lakers. Everybody's healthy on both teams just for this exercise. Lakers play against the Thunder. Who you taking?
I'll probably still take the Thunder, but I don't think it's going to be I think it'll be a tough series.
Okay, I think that's fair.
That series is going at least 6 games. Easy.
And I don't want to go ahead and anoint the Thunder. Like, they've been the best team in the league this year, but they've won one playoff series, and they look awesome during the regular season. But I want to see it in the playoffs before I'm like, they're going to steamroll the West.
100%. Nuggets.
I'm taking the Nuggets in that series.
Taking Nuggets in 5 or 6.
I'm taking
solely
Nuggets.
because Jokic. Yeah.
Timberwolves.
That's one I could be convinced that the Lakers would beat the Timberwolves.
You?
Yes, I could. They could play Gobert off the floor. Julius Randle has a few turnovers a game. All of a sudden, Ant has one of his signature 3 for 17 from 3 type games. And the Luka factor is real with that team as well. So.
That is fair. Okay. All right. Mavericks fully healthy.
It would be the greatest series of NBA history. Like, it would be absolutely incredible to watch. I would still, if I had to put money on it, I'd take the Lakers.
Who's guarding AD?
That's the problem.
That is the problem. But think of everything in that has happened over the past week coming into that series. Think about Luka getting to play Dallas in a playoff series, and then LeBron just riding that high and his wave and just being like a non-distributor and being able to just play his own game. He still distributes, but yeah, I'd still bet the Lakers. It would be awesome to watch.
I mean, we just had the Super Bowl happen. I feel like I'm falling victim to this too, where I pick the Chiefs going in because I'm like, look, I know the Eagles are better on paper, but it's Patrick Mahomes. And now maybe my brain's in a pretzel where I'm like, look, everything on paper is telling me this Lakers team cannot play defense. They're going to have to score 130 points a game to win in an NBA playoff game. I don't think that's sustainable.
Yeah, I think that's valid. That's a tough one. I would lean Mavericks this year with the Lakers roster as it currently is right now. I would lean Mavericks just because I think they're more well-rounded. They've got a lot of wings to throw at Luka Doncic. And you're right. Nobody's guarding Anthony Davis on that team.
Suns, Lakers, who wins?
Lakers.
Come on.
Suns are a train wreck. I hate to say it.
I'm just throwing it out there. Spurs, Lakers would be a lot of fun in the play-in if that happened.
That would be fun. You don't want to see Wemby in a winner-take-all one game get in the playoffs. I'll tell you that.
Especially when Jackson Hayes or Rui's guarding him.
Dude, Christian Coloco is on the team.
Yeah, that's fair. I keep forgetting about
Trey
him.
Jameson's on the team.
Let's keep going down the list. Timberwolves, can they make the finals?
No. Fraud. I've seen enough. The Randall trade is a disaster. It's a train wreck. I've seen enough. Mike Conley is not serviceable anymore. I think his knees are finally giving out on him. He's been in the league, 15 years? Played the second most minutes of active players, I think. I don't see it with the Wolves. As much as I like Anthony Edwards, I don't think this roster is going to the finals.
Yeah, with Connor, you had one of the best defenses in all of basketball last season, and then everyone was ready to anoint Ant the next Jordan, and you still almost got swept by the Mavs in the Western Conference Finals. I mean, I don't know how that team gets better from there, and they certainly haven't looked like that team last year. So, frauds for me.
They'd have to have some matchups go their way. Clippers.
Nah, frauds. I'm out.
Biggest frauds. I think they're the biggest frauds in the West right now. Clippers, Kings. Who you taking?
I don't know. I guess the Clippers.
I think I'm taking NBA TV.
Wait. The Clippers just got Ben Simmons. So real.
Shoot.
Oh shoot!
You're right. You're
What would you
right.
put the odds at that Kawhi and Harden played every game of the playoffs?
It'll just be one game in the play-in, so probably pretty high.
Mavericks, can they make the finals?
Yes. I think they're real. And if Anthony Davis comes back from this injury and like can actually, I know it's always a what if with Anthony Davis, but he's actually been pretty reliable the last couple of years. If he comes back from this injury, this team is legit for the next couple of years. Like the Mavs, for all the hate they're getting on the Luka trade, they made sure they were still competitors for at least the next 2 or 3 years. Yes, they shortened their championship window by about 8 years, but for the next 2, they have a damn good team.
Yeah, yes.
The whole reason the Mavericks did that is because they understood that defense wins championships, right? At least that was what they told us. But if it's not even true, you have to believe it because that's what the situation they put themselves in now. They've forced themselves to adopt that mentality. And I think they're a totally legit contingent, of course, on AD's health. If he's not healthy, then that's a totally different question. But we're going to assume he's healthy.
We've seen these riots in Dallas and people like storming the American Airlines Center and freaking out about the Luka trade and everything like that. And Nico Harrison needs Secret Service all of a sudden. What trade would cause a city to erupt even more than that? Would it be Mahomes in Kansas City?
Yeah, that's the one. In all of sports, honestly. I can't think of another one. Because even Giannis, there's rumblings of him leaving Milwaukee anyways.
Yeah, I don't think it would happen with Giannis. What
Maybe
about
Denver and Jokic? Yeah,
Denver and Jokic would probably be the next one, the only other one in the NBA I think would be close. Maybe Wemby with the Spurs. But he doesn't have...
Yes.
Yeah. Would Wemby with the Spurs be worse or Jokic with the Nuggets?
Wemby with the Spurs.
I think so too.
I would lose my mind if I was a Spurs fan. I don't care what I got back.
I mean, Tijon Salon in Charlotte.
Yeah,
That's tough.
January 6th would be child's play if that.
This is the leading podcast in Charlotte Hornets mentions that Charlotte Hornet could have their own podcast strictly related to the Charlotte Hornets. They would not mention the Hornets as much as we do. Just
I can get my Bobcat shorts on in 5 seconds.
as long as we get to watch you do that. But
Yeah. So I'm just kidding.
So where does Byron Mullins rank for you for 3-point shooters in Bobcat/Hornets history?
Well, nobody talks about Matt Carroll enough for me, so really I'd have to probably put him up there.
Underrated. I mean, Josh McRoberts was the cult hero, but guys like Matt Carroll really established
Eduardo Nahara.
That firm foundation that was needed during the Lowe's NASCAR era of the Charlotte Bobcats. Anyhow, let's move on. Sacramento Kings, are they going to the finals?
Nah, hell no.
Nope.
They just recreated the Chicago Bulls and upgraded Vooch to Sabonis.
purple jerseys.
Yeah. They switched pennies in a pickup game. Suns, excuse me, I almost died there. Suns, can they make the finals?
No,
I'm going to say no. It's just...
Drots.
And we talked about it last year where I love Durant, love Booker. Like, they can put up 90 points combined in a playoff game. We've seen it against Denver. This team's a train wreck. Just overall, the makeup of this team, it just doesn't work. And Bradley Beal's playing better, but for whatever reason, they just don't mesh. And I guess maybe now we have to look in the mirror and say, I guess it's a Booker KD problem. Like, do they really fit together?
That's what it has to be, right?
They've done everything else. They've traded for a serviceable center in Nick Richards, and they've got Tyus Jones to run the point guard. And that was the big criticism the last year was like, they need a real point guard. They have that now, and it still doesn't work.
I just don't think take your turn basketball works. Like, it's truly what it is in Phoenix, where it's just, all right, Booker, go dance. All right, KD, go dance. That's it.
And plus, if you're looking at this year in a vacuum, Durant's had to have heard all this stuff about being traded. Do you think he really cares about the rest of this season now? He's probably looking ahead.
My thing is, too, it's like, if you're making $50 million living in Scottsdale, Arizona, you're probably all right. You're probably like, man, I don't want to go to Golden State. I don't want to pay California taxes.
It's kind of sweet the season ends like 2 months early. I might take that.
Yeah, you don't have to spend summer. Yeah, you get to leave Arizona in April. you can move back to New York. Hilarious. Warriors.
No, I'm sorry.
Got to go frauds. Jimmy the third doesn't move things for me.
I would love it if they did, but I have to go frauds. But man, I'd love it if they did.
There's going to be a honeymoon period of like 2 weeks where it's like, oh, Jimmy Butler brought the grit and grind back to the Warriors, and then they're going to flame out.
I think that starts next week.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going early prediction. I think it starts next week, and it rolls into about like a little bit of mid-March, and all of a sudden I'm more focused on March Madness, and I go, Warriors lost 7 of their last 9? Huh, interesting. Yeah. Spurs, no, obviously, right?
No.
Spurs are my super
no.
long shot. There is a chance for the same thing we talked about in Houston, and they have a legit star in Wemby. It would be an amazing story. Obviously, they're like plus 470 to even make the playoffs, but there's an outside chance. I kind of like the Spurs. It would be, it's not crazy.
Wemby's good enough to go on a week and a half run and almost single-handedly keep them in a series. And now they have De'Aaron Fox, and I would argue Wemby and Fox are better than any option Houston has. I think you put De'Aaron Fox on Houston, that's immediately their closer. So now they have 2 guys. Yeah. So I like the Spurs to make a run more than the Rockets. So yeah, I don't hate that.
That's crazy to think about, but I don't disagree. Trailblazers, no, obviously, right? They're cooked.
Yeah, won 8 of the last 10.
Okay, Stu Anderson. All right. Can the Utah Jazz make a run to the NBA playoffs? No way. No prediction.
Only if they're allowed to like play second round picks on the court or something.
Everyone in our class last semester, Carter.
Ace Bailey is going to be a Utah Jazz member, player.
Yep.
Team. How do you say
talk
that?
About riots on the street?
He's not.
God.
Cooper Flag's not going to Utah.
No.
He's going to
We'll
Charlotte.
see.
No.
He's going to Charlotte. He's not a Wizard. For this exercise, we're going to go ahead and skip the Nets, Raptors, Hornets, and Wizards because they're all trying to capture the flag. 76ers. Can they make a miracle run?
Did you miss the Pelicans?
Yeah, I did.
No, you said, all right, sorry, go again. Where are we starting in the East?
Nets, Raptors, Hornets, negative. Not going to even talk about them. They're all playing capture the flag. Sixers. Can they make some kind of miracle run where they're the Miami Heat? They mess around with the play-in, and all of a sudden they're like, Cavs, Sixers, we're going to give them a run for their money.
They're 20-32 right now. They're sitting at, a game and a half out of the 10th spot behind the Bulls. I think it's too little too late. Even if the Sixers do make the play-in, what are the odds that Embiid and Paul George are both healthy for that game? And I mean that in all sincerity. I think it's too late. Yeah, I am so dead serious. And so, they're 52 games in now. I think we kind of know what this team is. And I'm tired of waiting like, this team gets healthy for March and April, they're going to be a problem. We've repeatedly seen time and time again it doesn't happen. Even if Embiid's playing, he's not going to be 100%. He just recently came out and said he needs some other major knee surgery anyways. So, no, I'm out on the Sixers.
The Sixers, obviously not making the playoffs. This is the one thing I have to say about them. They're frauds. But no one's going to be super excited that they got the Sixers in the first round. If they're healthy, that's obviously contingent upon health.
That's true.
But no one's going to be like, look at Maxey, Paul George, and Joel Embiid and be like, oh, sweet. Great matchup.
And they're not going to be the NBA TV series, I don't think. I think it'd still be Bucks Pacers. Or whatever series.
That debacle with the ball last year, who knows?
Yeah, or whatever happens with the Pistons, whatever they end up, they'll probably be an NBA TV series. Even though I like Cade, but anyhow. Bulls, no, right? They're done.
No, I think they're done. They'll make the play-in game. Maybe. Yeah, one of them's got to get booted. Yeah.
Magic.
Oh, they're not making the finals. No, fraud.
Not this year. No.
Fraud in that sense. Too much inconsistency with the roster this year. A lot of injuries, guys in and out.
Yeah, 100%. And also, that's another team where I was like, man, I really thought they might go for a trade. I'm curious to see what their big swing is in the next year because something's got to give. Are they going to get into the Trae Young sweepstakes? Are they going to be like, hey, Joel Embiid, come on down to Orlando? Something big is going to happen in Orlando in the next year, I feel like.
I don't know how much Magic you guys watch, but that offense makes me want to gouge my eyes out with a spoon.
It's like if Tony Bennett was coaching a team in the NBA.
It's unbelievable. It is unreal. Even when Paolo came back, it was still just awful. And we'll see when Suggs comes back, but I don't think it's going to make that much of a difference.
Hawks, no.
No, they're done. Jalen Johnson injury kind of cooked them this year.
Miami Heat. Heat culture.
No, they're not making the
frauds
finals.
For me. I'm out of the Heat. Yeah, what?
They are going to win. If they make the playoffs, they are going to win their game one game. Whoever they play, whether it's Boston, Cleveland, whoever, game one, I think Heat plus 11.5 in that game is free money.
And Bam's been weird this year. He's going to have a good game in game one, and then, go back to him. I don't know what's going on with him this year.
DJ Augustine signs a 10-day with them right before the playoffs start.
One DJ.
Brendan Haywood on the call.
Spencer, or who's the Day-Days or whatever? Who's the freaking
Spiro Day-Days.
That's it, yeah. It's him and Brendan Haywood calling the game.
Marcin Gortat, the Polish Hammer.
Pistons, can they do anything?
No, I'm going to say fraud quote. They're not going to make the finals, but they're taking legitimate steps in the right direction. And shout out to Pistons fans because you got a legit dude in Cade, and we've seen that this year.
100%. Agree with Connor. I think the problem with the East is it's so top heavy that I don't see a path for someone like I kind of saw in the Rockets or the Spurs in the West.
Right.
The East is like you have to go through the top dog in Boston, New York, Cleveland. So
let's knock out one already because Pacers, no, they're not making the playoffs, right? Or not making the finals, right?
No.
Yeah. So
don't even need to say anything.
This is when the conversation gets interesting. The Milwaukee Bucks.
I'm going to say yes. I think they're a legit contender, and solely because Giannis and the way he tears through teams in the playoffs. And Lillard has been playing so much better recently. I understand the liability on defense, but they're not awful. And my whole thing with them was you can't trust Chris Middleton as a third option anymore. They go out and get Kyle Kuzma, which is, I think, high risk, high reward. Because what are you really getting from Chris Middleton at this stage in his career? I feel like you have a better chance to get something out of Kyle Kuzma at least. So I'm gonna go contender just because I think Giannis is that good.
I agree
with Connor. It's all contingent for me upon Giannis. I feel like if he flips a switch, they can do something special this year. But he's been a little checked out in the past couple of years. He's also been hurt, and it's been a whole debacle for him. But you and I talked about, Carter, that starting lineup for Milwaukee, you kind of love it. I mean, being able to roll out that much length and size with the shooting prowess of a couple of those guys around Giannis is kind of scary.
The problem with their starting lineup is if you're starting Andre Jackson, he can't shoot the ball at all. Like teams will be leaving him wide open in the corner, Ben Simmons
Andre
style.
Roberson for 3.
Yeah, and you see it where he starts, but he plays like 12, 13, 15 minutes a game and he's like 0 for 4 every single game. If he's not hitting, you kind of lose a little bit of that defensive edge, but you have to get somebody on the floor that can space the floor, right? That would be my argument.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't think he would start. I mean, but he's no Elijah Bryant.
Elijah Millsap.
Yeah, no. I think the Bucks are a contender. I think that's crazy to think about because if you would have asked me a month ago, I'd have said no way. No way they would have been. That defense was pathetic. That team looked checked out, and maybe the NBA Cup is the best thing that happened to them. Shout out Darvin Ham for not letting them drink in the celebrations because that changed everything apparently. So,
turn the season around.
Knicks, can they go to the finals?
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're a contender.
Celtics, we don't even need to discuss. Cavs.
Yeah. I was already saying yes during the regular season leading up to this, and now this is my first time on since the Hunter trade. I think that's exactly what they needed. Even if they paid a little much for him, but then they already had a problem where you got, 11, 12 guys in your rotation. They clearly want to play Jalen Tyson more, the rookie out of California. You kind of solve your problem. You get 2 for 1. You trade Niang and LeVert, whose time had kind of run out there. And you get DeAndre Hunter, who has a legitimate case for 6th man of the year, long, athletic wing, can shoot the ball. And now you're opening up more minutes for Jalen Tyson, for Sam Merrill, who's been great, for Ty Jerome, who can't seem to ever miss a shot for some reason. I think it was a great move. So I'm going to go yes, contender. I don't know if I would pick them over Boston in the series, but I wouldn't be shocked if they got there.
The DeAndre Hunter trade is just like when your friend offers you 5 bench/waiver wire dudes for your RB2. And you're like, I mean, yeah, I'm getting a lot of pieces, but I don't have a running back. I can't start any of these guys you're giving me. So that's exactly what happened with this trade where you can say, yeah, it's a lot for DeAndre Hunter, but like it's just like a lot of crap that was in your garage.
It's like when the rubber hits the road in the playoffs, Niang's going to play 6 minutes for you in a playoff rotation. Karis LeVert, if he's not hitting shots, maybe 10 minutes for you.
Niang will hit 5 threes. Niang will hit 5 threes in a first-round playoff series, like in one game. You'd be like, you bet on Garland, like they have like 15 points or something, and it's just a Niang night for no reason.
I'll say this about Cleveland. Of the 4 teams we just talked about, because it's a 4-team race in the East, I don't see anyone else being able to make it happen. Of the 4 teams in the East that have a chance, I would rank Cleveland last on that list. I know it's a hot
Really?
take. I know what the record they have. In the playoffs, though, it's hard for me to imagine Donovan Mitchell as your best player going to an NBA Finals. Sorry, don't get me wrong. I love what the Cavs have done. This is no spite against them. It's about getting to the playoffs and seeing what you do in that moment. Donovan Mitchell notoriously is great in the regular season, awful in the playoffs. Now, this might be the best team he's been on, but if they go up against the Bucks in the second round, I don't know who I would like more, especially if the Bucks have figured things out like we talked about. Now the Bucks have 27 games for Doc Rivers to screw it up and look like an imbecile. But I don't know. Of all the, like, in New York, I would take New York in that series, and of course Boston. So it's hard for me to see them because they're going to have to go through at least two of those teams.
I definitely wouldn't put them above the Bucks. I think if it's Milwaukee and Cleveland in a series, that's almost a nightmare matchup for Milwaukee, where they have Jared Allen and Evan Mobley to throw on Giannis at all times, 48 minutes a game. And then they have Garland and Mitchell, two elite scoring explosive guards, and the Bucks backcourt defense is Swiss cheese. Damian Lillard can't guard anyone. So I feel like if it was that series, I would like the Cavs. As far as the Knicks and the Celtics go, I think you might be right there. I don't hate ranking them third. But then you look at the Knicks, they haven't been great lately. I know Cat's been hurt. OG's out. It's the same story with the Knicks every year where they might just run out of gas.
It's true.
Yeah, they're playing their guys 49 minutes a night in a 48-minute game.
If Mobley's hitting threes, the Cavs have a legit shot. I'll say that.
That's fair. I'm curious to see how this DeAndre Hunter stuff works out. I think he's going to gel. It's going to be fine. Like, I don't think
so
there's
too.
going to be a growing process or anything like that. I think it's going to fit immediately. I would probably have the similar rankings. I'd probably still put the Bucks 4, but you could talk me into it. You could talk me into the Cavs being 4. I don't hate the argument of Donovan Mitchell is your best player. Yeah, he can hit some big time shots, but you're right, man. When look at the differences right now. You're going, okay, Donovan Mitchell versus Jalen Brunson. Who you taking? Taking Jalen Brunson. Donovan Mitchell versus Giannis. Who you taking? You're taking Giannis. Donovan Mitchell versus Jason Tatum. You're taking Jason Tatum. So I see that argument there. I don't hate it. I'd still put the Cavs at 3 over the Bucks. And yeah. Anything else before we wrap up?
Yeah, and the thing with those 4 teams is all those stars have a second option as well. Because I was going to make the argument where, like Tatum has Brown or Porzingis on the right night or Derek White. Giannis has Lillard on the right night. And then the Knicks have Karl Anthony Towns who can go off at any given moment if he's healthy. Because my argument with the Cavs was going to be, do you trust Darius Garland or Evan Mobley if Mitchell doesn't have it for 1 or 2 games out of a 6-game series? Can they be the number one option? I don't know if I'm there yet. Like that would be my drawback, where if Mitchell goes 3 for 17, is Garland going to have 30? Is Evan Mobley going to hit 3 threes? I don't know.
You can't trust those guys to do that. I mean, they could. It's
Right.
in there.
You could trust like Ty Jerome, Dean Wade, Sam Merrill.
You could. Very trustworthy
Max
guys.
Strus.
There's been some jokes on the timeline about like the Cavs being like the Hawks of old with like the Jeff Teague, Al Horford, Kyle Korver teams where
They're
they
better
were just
than
having.
that.
That's what I am, and they have the benefit of not having to see prime LeBron in the second
Reaper.
round.
Yeah.
So it's a little
But
bit
they have
different
to-
from that. But there is the
they do-
potential to fall in that category.
They do have to see a 19-year-old Jason Tatum.
It's true. He's still 19. I can't believe it.
Still 19. Wow.
NBA champion at 19. Who would have thought? Anyhow, all right, let's wrap things up here. At Chase_Rogers0, at Connor_Sparrow, at Karter BA. Make sure to follow on everything, at CarterCast on everything. Download SeatGeek, use code CarterCast, $20 off your first purchase. We'll be back. We'll have college basketball and NBA later this week. It's all basketball season now, fellas. No more football. We'll have some NFL
Full steam
draft
ahead.
stuff coming up close, but no golf, no baseball. This is that Dylan guy.
Lots of golf, actually, but that's okay. Golf season's just starting up.
You and Dylan can do golf stuff then.
We need to Chase Dylan collab golf. You got to.
Tony Finau, top 10. That's all. That's my golf. Anyhow, that's it from us. Make sure to subscribe. We'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.